Hold up. This isn't some cheesy kid show. This is Kids in the Tank, a young perspective on business from high school students.
Welcome to Kids in the Tank. I'm LaVanity. With me in the tank is Kim, Corey, and Moses. Today we are honored to have Tracy Porter as our special guest. Tracy is an award-winning designer and a co-founder of Poetic Wanderlust. Tracy, you are officially in the hot seat.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm honored.
All right, well, first question, who's the most famous person you've met while living in California?
Oh, well, you meet a lot of famous people when you live in California. I would say Oprah. Oprah for
Wow.
sure. Oprah's pretty famous, and she's actually extremely down to earth and really, really lovely. She makes you feel like you've known her, like your friends. And that's a pretty cool thing for someone that famous to be able to do. But yes, you see a lot of famous people here, but I'm not like a famous person gawker. I let them go on their way. Okay.
Speaking of Oprah, what was it like having appearances on Oprah, E, and HGTV?
It was really exciting. I think Oprah was the most exciting to be on because it was just, she's bigger than life, and it's a live audience, which is very different from HGTV or E. So there you are in front of, a huge group of people while being filmed, and it's really fun. It's energizing. And you just it goes by in 3 seconds and you feel like you talked way too fast. But it's really fun. It's like one of those opportunities in a lifetime kind of thing that you just are grateful to be able to have.
Yeah.
What started your interest in designing?
I have always, my entire life, made things, created things, painted, made jewelry. I've always had my fingers into something creative, and I just didn't know what designing meant. But for me, everything I'd ever done led me up to it. And finally, I started realizing that what designing meant was just really doing it. Really.
How did you get the name of your business, Poetic Wanderlust?
How do we what?
My question was, how did you get the name of your business, Poetic Wanderlust?
I'm a word collector, so I just constantly am writing down words that I think are beautiful. And was going through my list and just looking at, what would make sense. And I knew I wanted 2 words to go together because just one word I thought would be really easy to, really easy to rip off. So it was just sort of serendipitous. And I sat down one day and circled that one on the paper, and it stuck. And we did trademark research on it and found out that we could have it, and no one else claimed it on the internet. And boom, it became ours.
And then I know a lot of us have people we look up to. Do you have any influencers or mentors in your life?
For me, I couldn't put my finger on individual people. For me, I think the people that matter the most are people who on a regular basis collect our things and have really, we have customers who have been collecting our things since the beginning. And I get these emails still from people all the time. I have things of yours from I just bought a quilt at Bed Bath & Beyond that influences me more than anything, that people want our things still to this day and are still excited by them, even as we've evolved over the years.
Yeah.
All right. Can you describe to me what your creative process, what are some major steps that you did?
Like day to day? What?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, I hear you again. Was your question, what is my day to day creative process?
Yeah, just your day-to-day creative process. What are some major steps you do?
Okay. So for me, the biggest piece of my creative process is actually beginning, because I think that's the hardest thing for most people is they overthink things. And I I do have moments of overthinking, but I always realize the minute I'm doing that, I just have to move forward. That's the biggest, number one, most important piece of my creative process is move forward, even if I'm stuck. So every single day, after I grab my first cup of tea, I jump into creating. And some days I might be painting, and some days I might be designing on my iPad. I design in a lot of different ways, so, I gather my inspiration, which is oftentimes on a Pinterest board, and it often includes history and nature and, all kinds of interesting, textiles and things like that. And gives me something, to kind of, just get my juices flowing. And then I jump in. And honestly, my creative process changes a lot and has evolved a lot over the years because I'm always I want to try new things and I want to explore in new ways because I think it allows me to try, try other ideas and things. So I'm always looking and always moving along with ideas. But number one, the most important piece of my creative process, like I said, is doing. As simple as it sounds.
On LinkedIn, it states that you have an encouraging message to live your poetic wanderlust. How did you come up with that?
Well, I think that for me, living your poetic wanderlust is sort of living your day to day as exactly as you want to live it. Because I think a lot of times, especially in the world we live in, the social media world, people get kind of trapped in this "look what everyone else is doing" kind of thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes you just have to remember that you can guide your own day. You can create your own magic. You can determine how you're going to spend your time. And, so, and that's what I mean, like, by living your own poetic wanderlust is make your life as magical as you want it to be. It doesn't mean you have to have, a Ferrari and gobs of money like, some of these ding-dongs on Instagram are trying to encourage everyone to have, because that doesn't necessarily mean, joy. That doesn't mean anything, actually. It's just, you have to determine your own joy and, what it is that, brings you happiness. And I think a lot of times people think it's just money, but I think it's, taking little moments and appreciating them. So that's kind of what I mean by that.
Wow, that's really beautiful, actually. Wow.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
And then also, what do you personally think your greatest piece or pieces of work that you've made are?
My greatest piece of work.
Hard question.
Yeah, I mean, besides my children and my marriage, those are given. I think that the things creatively I'm most proud of probably are that, we've designed really beautiful bedding that is not only beautiful and creative, but that it is commercially successful. And that's a hard thing for, an artist. A lot of artists, struggle with that idea that they can create something commercially successful. And that's a big deal, because there's stuff that I like to do that I don't ever show the world, that I like to create and paint and stuff that is just for me. And then there's stuff that I go, okay, this has to sell because this is how we make our living. And, we have to, this is our business. And so sometimes there's a challenge in that, but I would say, I would put our bedding kind of at the top of the list because it's pretty cool stuff.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for answering our questions. We will now moving on to the next segment. Flip it, where you'll be asking us questions.
Okay, so you guys, this is interesting to have the tables turned a little bit. Now one of my questions for anyone, especially your age, are you guys all are you sophomores, juniors, seniors? What ages?
I'm a senior.
I'm a senior.
Junior.
Are you all seniors? Okay, cool. So one of my questions for you, because especially in the world we live in right now, oh my God, the entry to being an entrepreneur is so easy. I mean, maybe some of you already have your own businesses, but what would stop you from being an entrepreneur? I'm so curious, because if I were you, I'd be one today.
I think the risk factor is one setback, but yeah, I think sometimes the creative process is kind of difficult to kind of search what has not been done yet, or if it has been done, you have to exceed the like set expectations that are already been founded on. And so, yeah, I think the risk and kind of like the creative influence that's been highly like elevated in our society nowadays.
So, yeah, go ahead, please.
For me, I'm not really that much of a creative person. I don't really like making things or finding new ways of doing things. I'm more of like a one-on-one person, and I like talking to people personally and just helping them out in that way. So for me, I don't really know if that applies to me as much. So that's just why I haven't gone down that route, just because I'm not as creative as a person as I know a lot of people are.
It could absolutely apply to you, though, because there's a million ways to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't have to be about making things. It could be, about doing something specifically with what you love, no matter what that is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, I guess it'd be like, I'm a person who likes to meet goals, and if I feel like if I don't meet my goals, I fail. So that could be a big problem for me.
Being an entrepreneur, you mean you feel like you would be challenged by not
Meeting my goals.
Meeting your goals as an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
That's super interesting. Those are all really interesting answers, especially, like I said, because I feel like the entry to being an entrepreneur, and I tell our boys this all the time, I'm like, you guys, you have so much opportunity. And there really is, and you don't have to start out with anything really other than just like a handful of ideas. Just remember that, because there are a lot of people who will stop themselves from being an entrepreneur. And, when you are an entrepreneur, you get to determine how you spend your time. I mean, even if you might have to have a job on the side and that kind of thing, 'cause a lot of people do, but still it's such a great way to use your brain and your energies and your creativity. And by creativity, I don't just mean like, artsy fartsy stuff. I mean like, everybody is creative. I'm a huge believer in that.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think an entrepreneur is? Like, what does that mean to you?
To me, an entrepreneur is someone who takes an idea, whether it was someone else's idea or their own idea, because a lot of people just, grab onto ideas that are floating around, and moves forward with it. Takes something and says, I see something, I feel something, I've identified something. I want to take this and I want to turn it into something. It doesn't mean you're going to become a millionaire. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean a lot of things that people think it means, but it means that you've identified something that possibly needs solving, or something that needs to be, addressed, or something that excites you, and you take it and you move forward with it, and you get it into the marketplace somehow, and then you run with it, and you evolve with it, and you push it, and it's like it's kind of akin to raising children, quite frankly, because it takes a lot of love to nurture ideas and creativity and entrepreneurship, and it also takes a lot of gumption and a lot of persistence, and you have to be able to stick with it no matter what happens. And I mean, you guys have done a lot of this kind of stuff since you're all seniors. You've gone through your trials and tribulations in school, I'm sure, where you're like, whether you've done sports or, your grades and whatnot. I mean, you know what that all means. Yeah. So, it's not that different. It's just being able to, and it also means trusting yourself. That's a huge piece too. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in yourself no matter what's coming at you, or no matter how things are failing. You have to constantly, that has to be your number one. I gotta make this happen because I know I can. That's super important.
Thank you.
Kind of a long-winded answer.
Yeah, no, thank you, because a lot of people have different definitions of what they think an entrepreneur is, and I think for us, we really think that's more making like a business, or like making a specific like tangible thing. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Shall I ask you more questions, or how are we on time? You guys got to kind of tell me.
I think we're good. You can ask, more questions, plenty, yeah.
Okay. So I'm curious, because of the interesting world we live in, what's your idea of success? Like, what do you call success? And if you can go, oh, I think that person is successful, or that kind of thing. Or what would you envision for yourself? What would you say? I would be successful if I, whatever.
Well, personally, I'm very much into like politics and stuff like that. So I envision myself, for me, success is working in the government, and I think strive or like making a political change in something or influencing legislation in some way. And I see people like assembly members like Mark Spritzer and Mark Pocan and like Tammy Baldwin are very much influences. And so now that I'm 18, I get to legally vote. It's better for me because now I have an impact on like what my demographic will say, and like I get to voice my opinion and stuff like that. So yeah.
Very cool answer. I love that. That's neat.
Yeah, thank you.
For me at the beginning, based off what my teachers and like older people around me were saying, I kind of always thought success was just being well off money-wise, financially wise.
Sure.
And then just personally, a lot of people around me, I could tell that whether it was depression or things like that, even if they had a lot of money, I mean, take it like Kate Spade, for example, who was very successful financially. Sadly, she committed suicide. So, I mean, it really depends how you look at it. My approach now is more successful in my eyes is just being happy with what I do and myself. Yeah, that's just kind of my view about it now, is just kind of being happy as opposed to the financial side of it.
That is brilliant and beautiful.
Thank you.
Because it doesn't matter, a ton of money does not always equal a happy life.
Yeah.
Sure, it gives you some freedoms, and maybe gives you the opportunity of a few more choices than somebody else, but it doesn't necessarily make you, get out of bed every day.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who make a ton of money who hate their day to day. And it's a bummer to me that they do, but they don't feel like they can change it. And I'm like, of course you can change it. And they say their answer is, I make too much money to change it.
Yeah,
I'm like, what a bummer.
That's my fear when I get older, like of what job is just going to make me truly happy, as opposed to the most money. Now I've looked back at a different approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And we didn't get everyone answers, did we?
No.
I would say success is just having goals that you can stick to and complete them. And when you complete those goals, have another one set just in case, so you won't get off track. Because I feel like if you have a good job or whatever, it still won't be like you said, it wouldn't be like fun going through it every day if you don't have goals and set yourself up for success each and every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. Are you an athlete?
No.
No, I was gonna. A lot of athletes have that, like, very goal oriented. But I think that's really cool. That's part of what just drives you, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Wow, you guys all have such lovely, mature answers.
Thank you.
Do you want me to keep going, or?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah.
Okay, I have one more. Okay, so when you guys get stuck, what are the things that help you? Like, is there one thing or a few things? Like, when I get stuck, I know I can do this.
I recently got into journaling, like bullet journaling, and I like it because if I'm doing work and I get stuck on something, I can focus my attention on like doing something like I'm actually interested in, and like keep my mind off of like me overthinking the problem or overthinking what had just happened, and I get to freely express how I feel and like what I'm interested in, because I usually journal about politics, like, and philosophy and sociology. So yeah, it's that's what's kind of been working for me, and it's been a really improvement on like how my mental stability is, and also like how I've been maintaining like my grades and all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool. And I think that's such a smart approach, journaling. I mean, I'm a huge believer in idea generation.
Yeah.
Just literally, free flow of ideas on a piece of paper, because sometimes if you allow yourself that and you think, okay, no one else is going to see this anyway. I'm just going to barf it all out. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, and you force yourself, I'm going to come up with 50 ideas. I don't care how crazy they sound. I'm just going to do it. And in those 50 ideas, something is going to percolate, and there's going to be another one, or you're going to attach a couple. And hey, these this and this together actually kind of would work, and it's such a. I'm so proud of you that you're doing that. It's super healthy to do it all your life. Idea generation will get you out of pretty much any situation, because you can figure stuff out then.
Yeah, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
I love that.
Thank you.
All right, for me, well, the first thing I would do is just chill out and take a deep breath, because I believe that I can do it. Anything. Like, for example, since I'm a junior, I took the ACT today.
Oh, jeez.
Yikes. Yeah.
There were some problems I had trouble thinking of, so I just decided to come back to it later. And, well, for me, the first thing I would do is try to figure out what other possible solutions there is to it, and then cross out each worst one, and then possibly
Great test taking strategies.
Yeah. I just usually go for C.
That works too.
Yeah.
That's great, and I like that. I like the idea that you take a step back, because chilling out and then being a little introspective and kind of like, okay, I'm not going to freak myself out. That's a good one, because it is easy to panic oneself over anything when you get stuck. That's an awesome approach.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and
I know for me, whenever I get stuck, I'm really big in procrastinating, so what I usually do is just kind of walk away from it altogether, look at other parts of my life and go, okay, what am I good at? Because usually I'm really sad when I can't figure something out. Just kind of look at, okay, what am I actually good at? Who can I talk to get my mind off of this? And then when I go back to it, I usually have a fresh mindset. I'm not as upset with myself as I was before, and then I just try to tackle it again. And usually I try to get some background knowledge within my little break to help me out. But yeah, that's kind of the more procrastinative way of doing that, I guess.
Which is awesome. I mean, that's a great approach too. I mean, you guys are all so seem very capable of getting unstuck. So we got everybody's answers, right?
No,
One more.
One more.
One more. Sorry, one more.
I'll just think about what can I do differently about the situation.
Yeah.
And if I still struggle with it, just come back to it, or ask somebody that know more about it than you do, and just ask for help and see what you can do better next time you go at it.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's super cool. I just think that knowing how to get unstuck is a super important life skill that isn't always talked about by, in high school. And I feel like it's one of the, you know what I mean? And especially in business, getting stuck happens all the time. And I just feel like it's super important to kind of have your arsenal of ideas to, okay, how do I deal with this? What can I do to get out of this? Because everything can be figured out. Everything. If you remember that all your life, it will help you. You just have to sometimes, the idea might be right in front of you, or 30 seconds away from you, but you can always figure it out. There's always a way. And so that to me is one of the most important things. I mean, there are people my age, I'm 50, and there are people my age who still can't figure out how to get unstuck.
You're 50?
And I'm like, I'm 50.
You don't look like it. Oh my gosh.
Youthful.
Well, thank you. I like you guys. Thank you. But that to me is a huge skill that, I wish was talked about more with, high school students, because it's easy to go, my life is over.
Yeah.
It's like, no. And that happens to adults too. But okay, what can we do? How can we figure this out? What can we do? Yeah. So, good for you guys. Bravo. And the fact that you guys are doing this right now, that you're involved in something so cool, is, it's a great example of who you are as individuals too, and how you are already approaching life in a super open-minded, goal-oriented, evolving sort of a way. So bravo to each of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, super cool. So I don't have more questions for you guys. Do you have more for me?
Do you have any more questions, guys?
Not right now.
No, I'm good.
No, okay. Well, thank you, Tracy, so much for joining us, and we appreciate your amazing insight, and we will take it and apply it to us in like our near future and as well as today.
You guys are awesome. Thank you. I'm very honored to have been a part of this, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Best of luck in life.
You too.
Yeah,
Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.